Hey guys, welcome back to our project. In the last part, we have created the API to upload a file, and now let's go to front end and implement that. So in this part, we are going to set up the front end using Next.js, TypeScript and Tailwind. Okay, so just go to a code editor. Inside VS Code, just go to client, cd to client. Cool. Let me just expand this. Okay. So look at this, I'm inside the client. Clear this. Nice. Now creating the Next.js project with TypeScript and Tailwind is little bit boring and also time taking. So I'm gonna provide you a boilerplate. So just go to a description and you can see this repository link, and then inside this repo from this branch just select this Next.js and Tailwind. Just select this. So just copy this URL. I'll put this URL in the description box, and then go to your terminal. Make sure you are in the client folder, and then just run npx create next app, and then just pass the example. So -e, so it takes an example flag, then pass the URL which is the example, and then just press dot. Dot means create the app inside this client folder, and press enter. That's it. Basically I have created this boilerplate because I like this stack, this Next.js, Tailwind and TypeScript, and I need to use this a lot, so that's why I have created the boilerplate. Fine, so it has created the app. Just look at this client. Fine. And now just run this server using npm run dev. So let it run, and meanwhile let me just describe this folder structure. Cool. So inside this client, the first one is node modules, which I guess you know what it is, and then I have this public folder. This will be served as static. So whatever files you put inside this public folder will be served as static. It means we are going to put all the images inside this public folder. And then I have this source. Okay, this is interesting. Look at this. Inside this source folder I have two folders. One is components and the second one is pages. Components is the components. All the components will be stored inside this components folder. For example, we have this delete.tsx. This is a component, and the name is delete.tsx because I am going to delete this. This is nothing but a simple component. And then I have this pages folder. So basically Next.js works with file-based routing. So every file inside this pages folder is a separate route. For example, this index.tsx is the home route. And then if you create another file, something like download.tsx inside this pages folder, that will be served as a separate route. And we are going to see that in detail, don't worry. And then I have this underscore app.tsx. This is one of the important file of Next.js. This underscore app is basically the heart of Next.js. Every page component renders through this underscore app. Look at this component. This component is our page. Okay, so if you need to manage any global state, you can do this inside this underscore app. Okay, we are going to come back to this. And then I have this API folder. This is an interesting part of Next.js. So basically inside this Next.js, you can create your own API. That is called serverless function. So whatever file you create inside this API folder will be served as a separate endpoint. And how? Let me show you. Look at this hello.ts, and it returns name John Doe, right? So now if I just go to browser, just go to localhost 3000 /API/hello, and it should return you name John Doe. Look at this, name John Doe. And by the way guys, we don't need this API folder because we have already created the API inside this Express app. Inside the server, so we don't need this. Just delete this. Cool. And then I have this styles folder. So all the styles like CSS or .sass file will be stored inside this styles folder. We are going to use Tailwind CSS, so we don't need any custom CSS, but still if we need any custom CSS, we are going to define this inside this global.css. Okay, fine. Just don't worry about this Tailwind directives now. Okay, I'm going to tell you what it is in a minute. Okay, and then I have this .env.example, which is the .env file. No, this is not the .env file. In Next.js, you create the environment variables in a file which is .env.local. So let's create that file inside the client. Let's create a new file which is .env.local. Cool. I don't need to add any variables right now, so just close this. Cool. And then I have this .gitignore, then this next env, which you don't need to worry, then packagelog.json, then this package.json. Look at this package.json. Here I have this three script. Yep, this three script. One is dev, one is build, and other one is start. So dev means run the development server, which we are currently running, and then the build, which is next build. So it will build your project and then start. Start means it will run your production ready server. Okay, that's it. And then the dependencies, look at this, it is under the hood using React and React DOM. I mean, obviously it's a React framework. Okay, cool, pretty cool. And then I have this plan.md, which I don't know what it is, just delete this. And then I have this post CSS, Tailwind config. Okay, this two file is important for the Tailwind CSS. So basically inside this postcss.config file, I am using a plugin which is Tailwind GIT, which is in beta mode. Tailwind GIT means just in time, which is much faster than the normal Tailwind. And then I have this Tailwind config.js. All the Tailwind configuration will go here. So right now we are currently purging the .tsx and .ts file. Purging means remove all the unnecessary CSS. Okay, so just check all the tsx and ts file of this source folder. That's pretty much it. And then I have this tsconfig.json. This is the heart of TypeScript. Okay, this is pretty simple stuff, but one thing to notice, which is this base URL and the path. This is called path alias. So basically I am mapping all the files inside this source/components folder to this @components. Now what is the profit? Basically it removes all the relative paths and let us use the absolute path. How? Let me show you. Just go to index.tsx and look at this. It is using the delete component, but look at the import statement. This is using @components/delete. But if we don't use the path alias, we need to import this using .. Or let me just remove the whole lot of stuff, or let me just comment out. Okay. So .. need to go to components/delete, right? But with this we can just use @. So it removes all the relative paths. This is super useful for a bigger project. Okay, so just uncomment this. That's a trick. Okay, that's it. And now my server is running, and let's see the boilerplate. Localhost 3000. Yeah, cool. So everything is running fine. And now let's start designing the front end. So let's go to code editor. First of all, I'm going to import all my static files. So let me just copy a folder, copy these images and go to public and put it here. I'll provide you all these images, so just go to a description box and download the images folder and then put this inside this public folder. Cool. So these are all the images I'm going to use inside this project. You can use icon, not a big deal. And then one more thing I want to do before I start creating the front end, which is just go to tailwind.config.js, and here I need to add a color. So basically this yellow color which I am using here, this yellow color is not available in Tailwind, so I need to manually add that. So for that, let's see how to add an extra color. Just go to Tailwind docs, colors, yeah, customizing colors. Okay, just scroll down. Where is that? Yep. So inside the theme, inside the extend, I can add the color. So just copy this color object and go to a configuration file. Inside this theme, inside the extend, just put it. Nice. So this color is blue and I want yellow. And the weight of the color, so this is light, and the value of the color, which is F3, F7, FD. Save this. Cool. Oh, we don't need the code. Fine. So that's it. That's all the configuration for the front end. And now just close all the files and let's start creating the front end. Let's go to _app.tss first, and here I need to set the base CSS styling. For that, just look at our production ready app. Okay, look at this. We have a background color, and then all the elements are in center, both horizontally and vertically. So let's do it first. Just go to localhost 3000 and make this side by side. Okay, fine. Cool. First of all, just wrap this component with a div, and then we are going to add all the classes inside this div. I mean all the Tailwind classes inside this div. Okay, just save this. Fine. And then just add class name on this div. First of all, set the height to full screen, so height screen, it means height 100 viewport height, and then just change the font, so font serif. Fine. Then change the background color so it will affect all the pages. BG gray 900. Fine, just save this. Actually, let me just go to index.tsx and remove all these elements. Let's go to index.tsx. You know what, just remove this delete. Just remove this delete import, and then we don't need this class names also. Just remove this. Fine. Just add a heading, something like got a file said like fake news. Yep. Save this, and now just go to underscore app.tsx and apply the other styles. Let me just, yeah, fine. Okay. Just change the text color. So go to underscore app.tsx. The text is white, and then we need to make this horizontally and vertically centered. And the best way to do that is using grid. So just use grid and then place item center. Place item center. Fine. Save this, and it should be horizontally and vertically centered. Let's see. Yeah, cool. And now I'll wrap this component with another div. Why? Because some component might return multiple elements in a React fragment. In that case, this grid center will not work. So I'll explicitly make this a single div. Fine, save this. Cool. And now just go to index.tsx and let's see. Okay, so how this homepage gonna look? Let's see our deployed version. Okay, so I have this heading, and then under this I have this drop zone component, and then if I upload a file, for example this one, it will create another div with this file details and then another button. So basically I'm gonna create a header and then a second div. Inside this div I'll put this drop zone component and then this details and this upload button. Okay, let's do that. Okay, so inside this h1 just put another div. Here I'll put the drop zone component. Let's comment this out, and then I render the file which I have uploaded, which I have selected, and then upload button. Comment this out. Cool. Just make this side by side, and let's try the design. Fine. So target this parent div. We need to make this flex, right? So target this inner div, add some class name. Let's add the width around 96. It will not be shown because I don't have any content, so just add this, just uncomment this drop zone. With 96 I need to make this flex and flex column because I want the column direction, and then horizontally centered, so item centered. Fine, save this. Cool. Save this drop zone here. Nice little drop zone. And now let's add a different background color. So BG gray 800. Just save this. Cool, I got the gray color. I want to add some box shadow, so shadow XL. I also want to make the corner rounded, so just use rounded. That's the beauty of Tailwind CSS. Everything is there, so rounded XL. Cool. Also make justify content center, so justify center so that it is vertically centered as the direction of the flex is column. My VS Code is damn slow. Just save this. Cool. Just go to this h1 and add some class name. So class name. Just add some margin bottom, so MY4. Increase the text size, so text 3XL, and then just change the font weight, so font medium or semi bold medium, that is fine. And then just target this parent div and add some class name. This is again I need to make the flex direction column, so flex column. Just convert this to a flex box, and then horizontally and vertically centered, so item centered and justify centered. That's it. Save this. Okay, I think that's all for this part. We have created a solid base for the front end. In the next part we are going to create the drop zone component. Okay, so again guys, all the codes will be available in the description box, so if anything goes wrong in your project, just check that out, or you can just comment down. I'm always active in comment section. So that's it. See you in the next video. Bye.